course, whoever does come through this, well, they could end up getting any of the players who've come through on the winner's side.
Chris Melling wins the lag.
Interesting that I've noticed, and I'm sure you've noticed as well, Michael, is when these guys are lagging, most of them have been short of that top rail.
First rack, Chris Melling to break.
I've seen a couple of players not even make it as far as that line that Chris Melling is currently striking from. Off we go then, race to 9 for a place in the single elimination stage of the World Championship.
And so this is interesting. We'll get another look at this break. It's come quite a bit low. One finished pretty difficult, almost in a position where a rollout might show its head. Christopher looking good with a
Push
haircut.
out called. Chris, it's your choice.
And so the rollout was played. That is, the person that calls the rollout will play a shot, and the oncoming player has the option to take that shot or give it back. Pretty certain Chris will take this on. Got a whole wall of balls there. He's going to go aggressive and look at the kick. There is a reward. Obviously, the 2 is in the top left. And Chris very, very good at the acrobatic shots. This not so much, but hit it ideally.
"45 years of age now, Chris Melling. Real Q Sports all-rounder, various forms of pool, and indeed has been a professional snooker player on the main tour in the past. One of the players he beat was Luca Brissell, who was world champion last year.
Yeah, he's going to be forced to elevate here. He'd like to play the 4-8 combination in the lower left. Yeah, and that elevation caused a miss hit. Probably get another look at this. I don't know if he had any movement. He just shot it into the point. You've got to wonder, Michael, do you think the injury will have anything to do with this match? Could it play a small role? If it does, I would call it an equalizer. Probably benefit Imran at some point in this match.
You would think it would be, but then again, he did manage to push Lucius Yap so close earlier today, and as I said, he didn't feel he was particularly tired out by having to walk around the table in the way he did. But then again, this is now his second match of the day, so I see what you're saying. It may catch up with him at some point.
And there you get a good look at the combination right down the pipe. Not much work to get to the purple 5. He's going to use the bridge. So he's coming all the way over. I like it. I like it a lot. Got options here. He can carry the angle on the 6, and that's what he's done. He'll just come one rail over below the 9. Pretty straightforward here. Last thing he wants to do is get straight on the 7. Avoid contact with the 9. He should be perfect.
So Chris Melling broke dry. Got back in with an early chance anyway. Missed a pot into the side by a wide margin. And from there, Imran Majid has
wins the rack.
established a 1-0 lead. That last remaining match in winners' qualification is now over. Tolian Han has beaten Oscar Dominguez 9-7, so Tolian Han will go through to the final 64. Dominguez will be in action later tonight in this losers' qualification round against Hussein Mustafa. Let's have a look at table 1. Albin Ocean, two-time winner of this World Championship and the only player to have been to the final of it on 4 occasions. Well, he's got a tough one tonight, hasn't he, against Johan Chua, part of the Philippines team that won the World Cup of Pool in Spain last summer. And they're in the opening rack.
And he's faced with a tough one here. He wants to catch the 3 heavy. He did. Probably one of the best ever at the tactical side of the game.
Yeah, this one of a number of standout matches that are just getting underway here. The 2 Greek players to have played for Europe in the Mosconi Cup are up against each other, Nikos Economopoulos and Alexander Kazakis. So that's one worth keeping an eye on. Tyler Steyer of the US against the young Philippines prospect, Bernie Regalario. And what a clash of the generations on table 9. Ralph Suke, the champion of 28 years ago, against the young Estonian Karl Nadeberg. And of course, we'll keep you up to date on those and all the other matches this evening. The only one that's actually completed its first rack is the one we're focusing on.
Majid to break.
Imran Majid
Leading
won
by
that
1
opener,
rack to 0.
and that's why he's breaking in the second.
I do believe the break will play a factor in this match. Both of these players get on with it. They play quick. Yeah, the one short. Michael, we've talked about it for 2 days now. When these guys miss the one into the middle, it seems like they're missing it low. And he actually caught those very, very full. Notice the cue ball all the way back up table. So the cut break almost non-existent on that one.
These 2 in opposition tonight, they've teamed up in the past, the recent past indeed, to great effect, because as the host nation of the World Cup of Pool in Brentwood the summer before last, Britain were able to nominate a B team, and it was these 2, and they were drawn in the first round to play the British A team of Jason Shaw and Elliot Sanderson, and the B team won by 7 racks to 0. Ended up in the quarter-finals where they were beaten by the eventual champions Spain.
Well, that's a nice hit there. He's going to gain distance. This is right up Mellings' alley, typically. He's always up for the long shot. Looking at the purple 5, I believe it passes. Looks like it's got room. Really looking to just knock this down. Staying level as well, so he's going to go forward. And he's caught it heavy. Looks like Imran going to use the blue 2 here, sending the 1 up table. He wants to get nice and tight on it. Yeah, and he's done pretty well. For insurance, he's got the brown 7. In case Melling wanted to consider the jump. Melling, a big fan of the kick shot. YouTube his name, and you'll see trick shot after trick shot during matches. The young man gets up for the toughest of kicks. What's he got up his sleeve here?
Foul shot.
And that's going to be long. Hard to hit that ball at that pace. You know it's going to lengthen out, especially on the TV table with the lights. And so I'm sure he didn't expect it to lengthen that much. It's going to result in ball in hand. Imran with another opportunity to take a 2-0 lead.
And does so
Imran
very
Majid
swiftly.
wins the rack.
So the 1-9 combination delivers that 2-0 lead for Imran Majid. Well, something like this we always want to have a look again. Much work to be done there, Scott, or was that pretty routine in your view?
I mean, the 9 was quite a bit of ways from the pocket. He actually had to cut that ball pretty good. He must have felt good over it. It's player preference. If you feel good over a combination, especially with ball in hand, obviously you can pull the trigger. That's what he did. So far, looks real good to me.
Let's look in on table 2. This is Duong Kwok Wang, who recently came through a very strong field to win his first ranking title, the Scottish Open in Glasgow, just before the UK Open. He's taking on the experienced Polish player, Konrad Jusichin. Duong has won the first, and as you can see, he's potentially 3 balls away from winning the second as well.
Yeah, he didn't want to find himself on the rail there. He's going to have to come below the 9, 1 rail out for the 8.
So should be 2-0 from there. Also 2-0 for Alex Pagulayan, the champion of 20 years ago, against Dmitry Yungo. Alex Kazak has taken the first in the all-Greek clash with Nikos Economopoulos. And Johan Chua won that first rack against Albin Ocean. Finally, someone makes the one in the side, Scott.
Yeah, exactly, Michael. He made the adjustment. He actually cut those balls, whereas he mishit them pretty good the first time. 1 finds its way to the middle. The 2, not real friendly here. He can definitely take the cut on. There's a reward. The 3, well, center of the table. I think he's got to stay aggressive. Well, really nice hit, and he avoided contact with the 3. You can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah, very encouraging early signs from Majid. You know, I've got to go back to Elliot Sanderson, who we mentioned a moment ago, because he was playing this afternoon against Mustafa Alnar. It went hill-hill. Alnar, of course, the player who beat Fedor Gorst yesterday. And Sanderson broke in the last rack, made a ball off it, came to the table, and I would guess it took about 5, maybe 6, possibly even 7 minutes for him to decide what to do next. At one point, he actually went over to his opponent and bizarrely said, "I don't know what to do." Then he sat down again, he got back up, was up and down off the shot maybe 10, 12 times. After all that, he eventually pushed out. But from that push out, he forced a chance. And from that chance, he dished up for the match. But honestly, in all my years at snooker and pool events, I have never seen anyone looking so nervous on the brink of victory in a match. But credit to Sanderson, he got through it in the end. And as you can imagine, if you know anything about his reputation, there was quite a celebration from him at the end.
Interesting, and yeah, I can only imagine. But hey, there's a lot up top, $250,000. Imran Majid looking forward to a piece of that 250. Oh, he's made contact with the brown. I think you want to slide underneath it. Now what? Gonna snooker him behind the 9? Yeah, and that's what he's gonna do. I gotta tell you, Melling, he's gotta be thrilled to even be at the table.
Just to clarify, by the way, that 250,000, that's just the winner's prize. That's only a quarter of the total prize fund here, which is $1 million, way beyond what we normally see in these events.
Yeah, 250 up top, which is, well, historical.
Extension called.
What's he got up his sleeve? I do enjoy watching this young man kick. He is so accurate. He's always got something up his sleeve, always got something in mind. This is going to have some speed on it, I have a feeling, or is he going to hit it soft and try and get behind the 8? Yeah, he's going to try and get behind the 8.
Well shot.
Well, I didn't expect that,
Ball in
Michael.
hand.
Came short of the mark.
Please start the clock.
By quite some distance. Doesn't the 7 go in the lower right, or is he not looking at it? He had to have taken a look at it. It looks to me like it would go, but I guess not. Well, there's no rail yet.
Have a replay on that, please.
Well, Julian Roper isn't sure, so he wants to have another look. I think Imran is clearly surprised by that.
Please.
I don't believe that got a rail, Michael.
We should know after seeing this. Oh no. Ooh.
Foul shot.
No,
I still think you're right, yeah.
not even close.
Yeah, yeah. It got closer than I thought, but yeah, when it came to rest there, it didn't get there. So, what a mistake. Ball in hand,
Please start the
and
clock.
he gives it straight back over to Melling.
Yeah, and the worst part about that is I really feel like the 7 played in the lower right. I don't think he ever looked at it. So that is a heady mistake.
Oh yeah, massive lapse, and what a difference that makes to things. Majid looked like he was going 3-0 up in no time at all. Instead, the lead
Chris
is
Melling
reduced to a
wins the
single
rack.
rack. Majid leads this British clash 2-1.
The arena and the setup has been amazing, and the practice facilities are very good. And obviously the Saudi people and the Federation being very welcoming, just looking after us, treating us like royalty.
Looking forward to it, obviously playing Imran. I've known him a long time, we've been World Cup of Pool partners. So it's going to be an intense match, it's going to be a tough match, but one I'm looking forward to.
Chris is a great player, and he doesn't really have many weaknesses. All I could say is that he does dwell in other disciplines. He plays snooker, English pool and 9-ball as well, American pool as well. He's very good at everything, but maybe not a specialist at one. I see myself as more of the 9-ball player, and he's more of an all-rounder maybe.
Well, Imran's strengths are his break, his potting. His weaknesses are really his kicking, coming out of snookers and getting the ball safe or making a ball. For somebody who's played as long as Imran has, you would think he would be a lot better than he is at that, but he does make up for it in other parts of the game, and you know, he's a handful for anybody, and I'm sure he will be tonight.
It's always love playing on the TV, yeah, love the cameras, yeah, it brings the best out of me, so looking forward to it.
There's a lot of money at stake. You know, it's the biggest prize fund that we've ever played for. It's $250,000 to the winner. This next match, I think, is for $3,500, so it starts to increase quite rapidly. Not only that, you want to win the title, you want to be called the world champion, or you want to win a Matchroom event, so it's very important to me personally to try and win one of them events before I pack in.
Rack 4, Chris Melling to break, trailing by 2 racks to 1.
Imran Majid and Chris Melling talking before the match. Indeed, the start of it wasn't that long ago. They've raced through the first 3. Imran Majid had a great chance to lead 3-0, but a really extraordinary mental lapse with ball in hand. Really threw the initiative away, gave it to Chris Melling, who's closed to 2-1.
And here we go again, Michael. Dry break. And once again, low of the middle pocket with the 1. Great interview of both players we just witnessed. You'll notice Chris Melling discussing the money. It's on these guys' minds. They can't keep it out of their minds. The best they can do is just try and keep it pushed back there a little bit. Every now and then, the thought of that prize money probably slipping in their minds. Big shot here. He's going to lose the cue ball a little bit. He's clipped the 8. He's made things tough, not only on the 2, but he's covered the 3 up to the lower left as well. It looks like he's considering going towards the purple 5. He didn't want the rub on the pink, but he might have glued him to the 5, Michael.
Both of these guys have played for Europe in the Mosconi Cup. Chris Melling played on the winning side on both of his appearances, the second of which he was MVP. That was in 2012 in London, but hasn't played in it again since. Unusual to go from MVP 1 year to out of the team
called.
12 months on.
It sure seems like Melling's been kicking a lot. We've only played 3 games into game number 4. Well, it takes a lot of guts to kick that speed. He's done well. He was aware of the fact if he just makes a good hit, Michael, that the 3 really doesn't have a pocket, at least to the lower left. And there might be more value here in trying to plant him behind the pink 4. And that's what he's done. Just didn't get there. Yeah, so he just caught that a fraction full. Cue ball coming through right into the pink. And dropping down behind the 5. This is very well done.
Imran Majid had his one and only Mosconi Cup appearance in 2006. The only Mosconi ever to finish in a tie in Rotterdam. He had a couple of wins. One was with Nick Vandenberg, beating American stars Earl Strickland and Rodney Morris. And he had a memorable singles win against Johnny Archer. Hasn't been back in the team, 18 years on. Just made contact with the 2, but is he going to lose the cue ball? Yes, he is. Ball in hand for Melling again.
Ball in hand.
Yeah, and we just saw in the
Start
interview,
the clock.
Melling said one of Imran's weaknesses was his kicking. That was a pretty straightforward kick. We're talking about a 1-rail kick. We're talking about the elite players. Yeah, I'd call that an error. I'd call that an error as well, Michael.
Well, we had a very quick finish with the combination in rack 2. A couple of racks on. Not to be for Melling.
Yeah, and you saw the little movement in the arm there. You're going to come down into the 3. Yeah, that's not going to get it. Well, he had the right idea. Rail first was good. Trying to track behind the green 6. He just caught it too thick. Also, not enough pace. Try and put him behind the 4 again. Here we go. Looks good. Well, it's come out, I believe. Going to use the purple 5 here to stop the white. Send the 3 up table. Going to use the 3 into the purple 5. Interesting. Problem with that shot, Michael, is that now there's a real good chance that Melling can use that little row or cluster of balls. Check the cue ball. I don't know if he can get enough of it, but I think he can. Yeah, exactly. Just like this. This is why I would have played the cue ball to the purple and the 3 up table. Had a bunch of check side on that inside English. Very well handled. This will really test Imran's kicking. Yeah, off by some margin there.
Ball in hand.
So yet another ball in hand. Funny how quickly the momentum can slip away. Majid looked to be building it, and it looked at one stage as though that early momentum might sweep him into a 3-0 lead, but very much a change of mood now, and Melling with a chance to draw level.
And Chris just doesn't look 100% comfortable to me, and probably a lot to do with the injury you were discussing earlier. I still see some movement in the arm as well. He wants to keep that cue ball off the rail. He should be fine. Waste no time.
To 2-0 down in this match, Chris Melling. He's already completed the
Melling
recovery to
wins
draw
the
level at 2-all. Hussein Maroom of Bahrain has been fastest out of the blocks tonight, already leading 4-0 over former World Championship runner-up Roland Garcia. Alex Pagulayan has also reached 4, has a 4-1 lead over Dimitri Jungo. And this is one of the matches we're keeping a close eye on this evening. And Johan Chua has also made a very fast start, and looks to be on the brink here of leading 4-0 against Alban Ocean. Twice the winner of this championship. Runner-up 2 years ago to Shane Van Boning when he was looking to equal Earl Strickland's all-time record of 3 world titles. And as Chua tries to mop these up here, I'll give you some of the other scores. American Tyler Steyer 2-1 up on young Philippines prospect Bernie Regalario. Wu Kunlin, who was a semi-finalist last year, has just gone 3-2 down to Daniel Maciol. Duong Kwok Kwang, Scottish Open winner, leading 3-1 over Konrad Yusishin. And Fedor Gorst has won the first rack against Kyle Amoroto. They were a bit late getting started because that Tolian Han Oscar Dominguez match on that table went on for such a long time. A little bit of work to do for Chua here. But you always had to fancy he'd get it, and so he now leads the 2-time champion 4-0. Someone else leading 4-0 is Alexander Kazakis against his fellow Greek player Nikos Economopoulos. Had a lovely chat with Alexander earlier today. He became a dad for the first time a month ago. He was showing me pictures of his twin daughters. He is absolutely full of happiness as a result of that, and I guess pretty happy with how his match has started tonight. But Chris Melling will not be happy, Scott, at his 3rd successive dry break.
Yeah, and he made an adjustment, breaking from the right side of the table now. Still short with the 1. And this is the problem. Typically, when you don't get the 1 down, you're going to leave an open table. Big starter here for Majid. Needs to carry the angle to get down here for the red 3. Looks almost perfect. I think he can draw above the 8 to the left long rail. Yeah, just like so. Doesn't want to get straight here. And a couple more tricks. Gotta get good on the pink. Purple 5 up top. Trying to split the gap between the 6 and 8 here. Yeah, this was always the danger, in my opinion. Not only that, it looked to me like he was just real quick with it once he made his mind up. Well, he's gotten a little love from the 9-ball lords. The 8-ball covering up the pink. Mostly you can see there, though. Melling gonna have a small piece of it. What he can do with it, well,
Extension called.
to be determined. Called his extension. He's not beyond cutting this into the lower left. And he could go crashing into the 9. Yeah, so you got to believe he was playing the 9 there. Caught the pink a little thick. Turned out just fine. You can see that limp still going on in Chris's walk.
Yeah, it definitely is, but as I was saying earlier, that is completely unrecognizable from earlier today. I was even thinking if he ends up playing with a shot clock, he's not going to be able to cope with it because it was taking him so long to move at all. So still noticeable, but it really has improved a huge amount since this morning.
Going to the jump bank here. Now, very, very good try. Trying to see what type of angle Melling's got here. Wow, he stunned between the 6 and 7 and then back out between the 9 and 6. What a clean strike that was. That's right up his alley, though, Michael.
And a contender for shot of the match so far. Now, can he build on it to sweep into the lead for the first time?
Yeah, it's almost like Imran is helping him a little bit. He's had chances, as you stated, to go up at least 3-0.
So good at closing out racks, Melling, and he does it so quickly and efficiently. Once the hard part is done, he tends to coast to the line. So despite coming up dry with all 3 of his breaks so far in this match, and despite having to limp round the table, Chris Melling is now leading by 3 racks to 2. Tyler Steyer now 3-1 up on Bernie Regalario, 2-all between Carl Naderberg and Ralph Souquet. Same score between João Grillo and Abdullah Al-Shamari, one of 4 players from the host country who's involved in this round. Daniel Maciel 4-2 up on Wu Kun Lin, as we just look again at that wonderful shot from Melling that was really the key to him winning that rack. Sanyan Pelovanovic and Quang Nam Pham of Vietnam are level at 2-all. Duong Qua Quang 4-1 up now against Conrad Yusashin, and at the table with a good chance for 5-1. And Feder Gorst has added the 2nd rack, so now leads Kyle Amoroto of the Philippines by 2 racks to 0. Alex Pagulayan 5-1 up on Dimitri Jungo in the other match. Pagulayan was the winner of this championship 20 years ago. All that way back, Imran Majid had a good world championship that year. Was involved in the last 16 in 2004. Here he is, still the centre of attention in a world championship 2 decades on, but trailing now for the first time as Chris Melling breaks with a 3-2 lead.
Yeah, wow. 20 years ago, Paggy
Rack
lying
six.
up top.
Chris
I'll
Melling's
tell you
break.
what, 20 years later,
Leading by 3
I
racks
was
to 2.
watching him in the practice room earlier today. He's playing really good. Well, he did make the adjustment. It came just short of the middle. Will Imran take the bank on?
Still not a ball made off the break after 4 attempts.
Yeah, and I said at the beginning of the match, I think the break will be a factor. Well, it's been a factor, just not a good factor. And he's going to the passive side. Melling, most likely going to the air here to really has him cut off from coming into the back of the 1. Well, he's got something else up his sleeve.
Extension called.
Calling his extension. Wow, so is he trying to come across the face of this one off the 1-rail kick? Such a difficult shot to execute here. So tough to judge, Michael, on this fresh cloth. Once again, it can really lengthen out on you. If he hits this good, the cue ball will be locked up behind the pink 4. He was really close at hitting it perfect.
Chris Melling was talking before the match about really wanting to try to win a Matchroom event, and not that long ago he wasn't that far away from doing so. The US Open in late 2022 got all the way to the quarterfinals, and it's a tough slog to do that in the US Open. Was eventually beaten by the runner-up Max Lechner.
Oh, how straight is he here? Does he have to come forward? No, he can come back. He's going to be faced with the 3-8 combination if he comes all the way back. Yeah, he's let up a little bit. We'll come up on the cue ball. Not the end of the world. Definitely playable still. He's going at the carom. I felt like you had to hit it real thin, that being the 3. Did he get away with it? You had to catch the 3 so thin here to make the 8.
He was so desperate to get that right, wasn't he? You could see him throwing himself after the shot, almost trying to will it into the pocket.
Oh, and to make matters worse, he's left a perfect window between the 7 and 8. Melling going to take full advantage. Assuming the 7 passes the 8 down here on the lower left. He's looking like he wants an angle to go into the 7 or coming into the back of the 7. See how this plays out. Yeah, notice the steep angle he's working with here.
That limp seems to be getting worse again, you know. And we did say this earlier, it might all catch up with him eventually, so let's just keep an eye on that.
So he's got to avoid the 9. He's trying to come into the back of the 7. I mean, there is a carom available off the 7 into the 8. That angle is a little misleading. Pretty good, but it's going to be left with two options. He can tuck below the 8, or he can go at the cross side, Michael. Knowing Chris, it's going to be the cross side. Oh, way short.
Big news coming from table 1. Johan Chua now has a 5-0 lead over Albin Ocean. Now, when you consider Ocean's record in this World Championship is better than anyone's over the last few years, it really would be a huge deal if he didn't even make the final 64.
Yeah, well, that was never easy in Imran's defense. He was coming off the bottom rail. Got to figure Chris gets this down. He does have some sideboards if he catches it a little thin, with the 8 being where it is. If he catches it thick, the 8 will not help him. Yeah, so clean.
Well, how often do we say this in the modern game? 4 dry breaks, but a 4-2 lead. But that is exactly what's happened. Chris Melling, 2-0 down. He's won 4 on the spin now. He's a couple clear. Let's go to that match I was talking about on table 1. Albin Ocean has such a wonderful record in this World Championship. You go back to 2014 when he got to the final for the first time, was beaten by Niels Fyen. His record in it since then, last 32, winner, last 16, quarter-final, last 16, and particularly impressive the consistency of the last 3 years, winner, runner-up, quarter-final. And yet here he is, going perilously close to not even being involved in the single elimination stage of this year's championship. Chua's been a bit of a conundrum, you know, over the last year or so. Had that great win at the World Cup with the Philippines, but in events like this, he's had a lot of really good wins over top players, but hasn't gone deep, you would say, in any of them.
Yeah, Michael, it was funny. Jeremy Jones and I were discussing that earlier and on stage. He feels that part of that is that Chua doesn't play all the events as good as he plays. There's a lot of them that he continues to miss. Obviously, that's by choice. Jeremy thinks you've got to be playing in most all of them in order to continue to be consistent and compete at the highest level.
And with that, it is half a dozen racks to nil. What a story developing here. It wouldn't be that big a shock if Chua won the match, but by the sort of margin we could be looking at now, it would be a massive upset. We'll be back with more of the all-British clash between Melling and Majid, as well as keeping you across everything else going along on this third night in just a moment. Chris Melling is struggling big time with the break. In every other respect, he's doing just fine here against fellow British player Imran Majid in this losers qualification round match at the World Championship. From 2-0 down, Melling has carved out a 4-2 lead.
Rack 7, Chris Melling to break, leading by 4 racks to 2.
Yeah, Michael. Majid had a chance to go up 3-0, had ball in hand. We'll never know, but I thought the 7 went. He elected to play safe and try and get behind the 8. Ended up not getting a rail, and since then, it's all downhill for Majid.
So still hasn't made the 1, but did make the pink 4. Did make the pink 4. First ball he's made off the break in 5 attempts, Chris Melling.
Yeah, and if he does happen to advance, winning this match, he's going to have to go back to the drawing board, really start to work on that break. I also think he's going to have to push out here.
Push out called.
That's what he's called. Yeah, he might have intentionally put it here, though. I think that's part of the play. Imran, pretty aware of Chris's kicking ability, so he's got to be careful what he gives back.
Keeping a close eye on the Albin Ocean match, 6-0 down to Johan Chua, and also on Fedor Gorst, the number 2 seed, former winner of this title himself. He was 2-0 up against Kyle Amoroto, but he's now been pegged back to 2-all.
And
Fedor
all too aware of Amorato's abilities.
Yeah, Amoroto, who beat Shane Van Boening in the Hanoi Open back in October.
Oh, he played to go into this. What a clever shot. The inside English helped him get up behind the purple. Not certain he's got him completely covered. The overhead tells me he did, and he did not. So Imran is going to have a pretty good look at it. I was fooled once again by the overhead, Michael. It's a big shot here for Majid.
Extension called.
Really just needs to put all the focus into knocking this down. The cue ball will take care of itself. He can just punch one rail over below the left middle. Matter of fact, he can just stay level here and come across. Yeah, very good strike. Very important to get that down.
Okay, so things have really been slipping away from him over the last half hour or so, but this is a really good chance to get back involved in the match again. 4-2 is absolutely fine in terms of keeping belief of turning it round, but it's one of those where if you fall any further behind, really, it starts to feel like a different contest. Mentioned he's been to the last 16 of the World Championship before. He's also reached that stage of the US Open. 2-time quarter-finalist in the World Masters, and has also played in a couple of World Cup quarter-finals.
Yeah, has he gotten a little straighter than he wanted here? I think he can punch straight in, come out for the 6 in the right middle. He's got plenty of angle. So far, so good, this rack for Majid. Wants to avoid any cover with the 9. He's got a little angle here, so he's going to drop down. Can he hold? I think he can hold above the 9. Yeah, that's handled well.
So nice work from the Londoner. Lost 4 racks in a row coming into this one. It was a clear chance to get back to just 1 behind. He really needed to take it, and he has. Chris Melling now leading by 4 racks to 3. Alex Pagaline, as I was saying, the champion of 20 years ago, up against Dimitri Yongo of Switzerland. It's Yongo at the table there. And Yongo really needed to make that 9 to get back to 6-2 behind against the Canadian, originally from the Philippines. Still 6-0 for Johan Chua over Alban Ocean. Carl Naderberg just in front of Ralph Souquet at 4-3. It's 3-all between Bernie Regalario and Tyler Steyer. Hossein Maroum of Bahrain has a 5-1 lead over the former world finalist Roland Garcia. João Grillo of Portugal leads Saudi Arabia's own Abdullah Al-Shamari 4-2. Nothing between Wu Kunlin and Daniel Maciol. That's 4-all. Pongnam Pham 3-2 up on Sanjin Pelovanovic. New dad Alexander Kazakis has a 5-1 lead over Nikos Economopoulos. Duan Kwok Hwang also 4 in front against Konrad Yusashin. That's 6-2. And Fedor Gorst has regained the lead against Kyle Amorotto. He's just won rack 5 and is now 3-2 in front. The 2019 winner of this World Championship.
Rack 8, Imran Majid to break. Trailing by 4 racks to 3.
Yeah, well, out of the two players that we're watching here, I feel like this one has broke a little better. Not to say he's broke great, because he hasn't. No. This has ended up a little messy. Got a smirk from Imran. Really full into the 1 again. You'll notice the 1 went long. Typically not seeing these players catch that ball so thick on the break.
Into rack 8 and 6 dry breaks already between this pair.
Yeah, you just aren't going to get too far with this field breaking like this. Is Melling able to just draw back towards the 3? So I guess he was trying to get the 1 down and maybe play a carom on the 3. Just happened to miss the 1.
Alban Ocean has rarely been more relieved to get his first rack on the board. He has done so against Johan Chua, but still a long road back for the Austrian. He's 6-1 down.
Yeah, so he's got a plan. He's going to use the 9 to cover up the 2. Not bad. Melling, well, I believe he's going to make a good hit at minimum. Yeah, so he's actually got options here, Michael. He can go to the rail closest to him, or he can come to the long rail to the right. He's going to have more accuracy with the rail closest to him. Looking to draw the cue ball off the 2. Watch the cue ball here if he makes good contact. Well, he's missed the entire plot.
Ball in hand. Please start the clock.
Yeah, pretty unexpected here. Never dreamed he would miss the entire ball, especially from that distance.
You see the number of fouls on the match. That's pretty high, really. It's a big part of what's going on here.
Yeah, considering they've only played 7 games, that's almost like about 20 basketball turnovers in the first quarter.
I have absolutely no idea what that means, Scott, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, just trust me. Yeah, he's going to use a tip of outside here. He's got a hold for the purple, the lower right as well. I don't think you flirt with going into the 9. Maybe it's steeper than it looks.
Called.
That might be his concern. Yeah, it must be steeper than it looks. He's worried about it, so he's elevating. Boy, I feel like you can go up towards the 6 here and just take the cut. No, it's not that steep. Just use a tip of outside. Maybe this is one of those situations, Michael, where he's overthinking it. Wow, he's just made this a lot tougher than it needed to be. Now, has his work cut out for him on the purple 5. Could have just rolled that ball in. Obviously didn't feel comfortable with it. And that's an error. I'm going to count it as an error anyway. I feel like he played that pink really kind of incorrectly, almost kind of like he's scared. You get the sense, and then he played the 2-way there, but really more concerned about the cue ball than making the object ball.
Melling was up out of that so quickly. That wasn't the plan at all. Yeah, big error from Melling to leave that chance. Still needed potting from Majid, though. This was a good shot.
Yeah, I'd say that's the best shot we've seen from Madrid so far. Hopefully that can get him started. Yeah, I'm surprised he geared up with an inside low ball coming to the right long rail first, trying to draw that. Could have just chopped that with a center cue ball with a check side, and even if he runs into the 7, well, he was worried about the scratch line. That's why he drew it. So I do understand it. He's just overcut it.
Talked about there being a lot of fouls, a lot of missed pots as well, and it was noticeable there after being left that opening on the 6 that Melling was clearly in a bit of pain as he tried to line himself up for the shot and lean over the table for it. Still got that issue with his foot, as we know. He won't have any issue with the outcome of this rack, because once again the chance is there, and in no time at all he's pounced on it. And Melling is too clear once again at 5-3. Now let's look in on Ferragorst, the 2019 world champion, winner of the World Masters in Germany back in April. And he's up against Kyle Amoroto of the Philippines. Gorst was 2-0 up. It went to 2-all. Gorst regained the lead, but this is Amoroto just a few moments ago with a routine 9 to level once again. Very dangerous player with a big reputation. Very young, won't be 22 until later this summer. Putting it up to Ferragorst, whose world championship so far has been a succession of really tough battles. Konrad Yusishin is battling back well against Wong Kwok Wang on table 2. He's got it back to 6-4 down now. Wu Kunlin is edged ahead of Daniel Maciol at 5-4. Zhao Griot pulling away a bit against Abdullah Al-Shamari of Saudi Arabia. That's 5-2. Bernie Regalario one ahead of American Tyler Steyer, 4-3 to another fine prospect from the Philippines. Karl Naderberg, another young player, but from Estonia, leads Ralph Souquet, well into his 50s now. It's 5-3 there. And Hussein Maroom of Bahrain is currently leading the race to be the first winner of the night. 7-1 up on Roland Garcia, who reached the final 7 years ago.
By 5 racks to 3.
Yeah, breaking more from the center now. Here we go again, Michael.
Yeah, and this time he's left the one to the side and just looks completely perplexed by what's going wrong with his break. Hasn't made the one in the side at all after half a dozen attempts now. Did manage to pop one ball off the break in the previous attempt, but not by design.
Yeah, it looks like he's catching the one way too heavy, though. Look at where the cue ball's ending up. These guys that have mastered the break, it's going to end up around the rack. This cue ball's ending up top quite a bit. Mentioned it earlier. Imran needs to keep this close. Melling can pull away. Big shot for Majid here. Wants to knock this down. Wow, very clean. Good, very good sign.
Yeah, he's had a number of tricky pots from distance that he's made in this match. Numbers are pretty good on that front.
Yeah, he's got some issues here, though, as I look further. He's got to get past the 6 and 7. Pink. 4 down low here. 3 just above the left middle. Also contesting with the 9, I believe.
Extension call.
He's going to call his extension. Big moment right here for Majid in this match. Well, he's got me snookered. I can't tell. Did he get free and clear? Well, he acts like he might be able to see this ball. Well,
Yep.
it's tough to tell. I think he can get to it.
Yeah, it looks like it from there, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's going to be free and clear. So now, getting on the 6 will be the next challenge. One rail over. Yeah, very well done. Looks like he's on his way to pulling within 1.
And you look back to that big lapse he had with ball in hand in rack 3, you wonder what kind of a position he could have been in by now. Clearly playing well.
Yeah, a little light there. He's going to be forced to go forward now, I think. He'd like to bend more straight in. Should manage without a problem. And that's why he's giving it a second thought.
So Chris Melling broke dry yet again at the start of this 9th rack. And he didn't get away with it this time, so Imran Majid does indeed get back to just a single rack behind. Melling's lead is now 5-4 on night 3 of the World Championship.
Well, I don't need to wear a crown to know that I'm the one. 'Cause I can do things for you. I've never been wrong. Just turn it on. Just turn it on. Start out the lights and watch me set it
Last year, we were amid the snow and ice of Kielce in Poland for the World Championship when Francisco Sanchez Ruiz won it for the first time. He's come to Saudi Arabia to defend his title, and this is the 3rd night here in Jeddah. That's the fan zone outside. All part of the attraction of this World Championship. Action going on all around the hall and stories going on all around the hall this evening. A couple of the big ones we're following include Federer Gorst, the world #2, now 4-3 down to Kyle Amoroto.
Rack 10.
And Alban Ocean,
Imran
who was
Majid's
trailing
break.
6-0 against
Trailing
Johan
by 5
Chua,
racks to
but the
4.
two-time champion has won a couple of racks in a row, so he's got a bit of a foothold in the match now. Chua's lead is back to 6-2. Here, Imran Majid has won 2 of the last 3 racks. If he can win this one, he'll get back level.
Yeah, ooh, the cue ball was scratching right in behind the 1 there in the 8. Knocked it out of the way. He'll take it.
1 behind, but I would suggest he's been the better player so far.
Well, he's definitely been the better breaker. Not that he's broken well, but he's been the better breaker.
Alexander Kazakis on the hill. 8-1 in the all-Greek clash with Nikos Economopoulos. So Kazakis now closest to victory of all those in action at the moment.
Well, watch the cue ball here. He
Foul
forgot
shot.
about something, and it's the white.
Ball in hand. Please start the clock.
He had half of it handled, Michael. Didn't realize he had enough pace to go in the drink.
Just been a couple of lapses like that that have let him down. You think back to earlier on when he made the big mistake in rack 3 with ball in hand. That's the kind of thing that could cost him this match, because as I say, for me, he's played better than Melling.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of just kind of silly little mistakes. Like you mentioned in rack 3, that was a massive error to go up 3-0. And a little work to do. Gotta get on the 5. The 6 does play in the top right, the top left. Well, he's gonna make it hard on himself. Pretty steep on this 5. Wow. Played that. Pretty clever to come below the 9. Well, there's one thing that Melling does good, and that's shoot straight.
And with that basketball comment earlier on, Scott, you made a reference to a sport that wouldn't be particularly familiar in my part of the world. I'm going to repay the compliment. We've had more fouls in this match than you'd see in a particularly bad-tempered Old Firm
Chris
derby.
Melling wins the rack.
In that rack, it was the scratch from Imran Majid. Chris Melling made him pay for it, and he's a couple clear again at 6-4. Now the Alban Ocean resurgence continues. He's won 3 in a row now and is right back in it against Johan Chua, the Philippines player, now leading by 6 racks to 3. 5-all between Karl Naderberg and Ralph Souquet. Hussein Maroom of Bahrain needs a couple more. 7-3 up on Roland Garcia. Duan Kwok-Wang, a couple away from victory. 7-4 against Conrad Yusashin. Alex Pagulayan also needs 2 more. 2004 champion is 7-3 up on Dmitry Yungo. Sanyan Pelovanovic going well tonight. 6-3 lead over Pong Nam Pham. Wu Kunlin 6-5 in front of Daniel Maciol. Now, let's go to table 5. Alexander Kazakis looking to be the first winner of the evening. So he's leading by 8 racks to 1. So Kazakis, who's been a semi-finalist in the World Championship in the past, had to go the scenic route to get through to single elimination. And in fact, he's not even been asked to pot the 9. His compatriot Nikos Economopoulos has conceded. So Alexander Kazakis is a 9-1 winner. Fatherhood, double fatherhood in fact, because he's just had twin girls, clearly agrees with him. Kazakis will be in the final 64 of this year's championship.
Yeah, good for him. Great guy. Congratulations. on the daughters. Gotta tell you, I've mentioned it already, but Melling's haircut really looks good.
Rack
You're
11.
taken with this, aren't you?
Chris Melling to break, leading by 6 racks to 4.
Well, he's looking to take the scalp of Imran Majid here, and he's finally made the one in the side.
Yeah, where's this break been the last 45 minutes? I mean, looks like Shane Van Boning. Yeah, so now he's got work still to do. The 2 awfully steep into the left middle. 6, I believe, is covering up the bank. In the right middle. He wants to stay aggressive. That's just his style.
Extension called.
And he's taking a little extra time calling his extension. Well, I'll tell you right now, that was steep. He had to hit it very, very clean in order to get that down.
And this is the time of the evening when we welcome viewers on Sky Sports main event. You're watching action from losers qualification round of the 2024 World Championship in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. It's an all-British clash between Chris Melling and Imran Majid. The loser of this will be out of the championship. The winner will be into the final 64 single elimination stage. And it's Chris Melling, 2-time Mosconi Cup player, 1-time Mosconi Cup MVP, currently leading his compatriot by 6 racks to 4. And with a chance to take this one as well and get within 2 of victory.
Yeah, Michael, and he's broken a little bit better this game, clearly, and I think the better you break, the better you play. Well, he's been the lesser of the 2 in the break department.
You've used it.
But making this rack look fairly easy. Started out with a great shot on the blue 2 to the left middle. It was awfully steep.
Well, neither player has led by more than 2 at any stage. This would be a wonderful time for Melling to change that, with the winning line starting to come into view.
Yeah, timing. His timing really looks like it's getting dialed in. See how clean these object balls are getting in the pockets.
And we were debating earlier whether Majid was perhaps the better player. Not so sure now. This has been good from Melling. And now for the first time in the match, he's got a truly substantial lead. He just needs a couple more to make single elimination. Conrad Yusashin continuing to battle well on table 2, back to 7-5 down against Wong Kwok Wang. Kyle Amoroto still leading the number 2 seed Federer Gorst 4-3. Wu Kunlin, semi-finalist last year, needs a couple more against Daniel Maciel. That's 7-5. And look once again at the external shot. You can see the wonderful football stadium next door. The first of 10 years that the World Championship is going to be here in Saudi Arabia. Jeddah is the venue. Tyler Steyer leading Bernie Regalario 5-4. Steyer, the American Mosconi Cup player who's been steadily improving his results and performances over the last year or so. Be a good win for him against Regalario. A lot of hype about the young Philippines player at the moment. Well, in a match like this, where it's swung one way and the other Scott, and they've been fairly evenly matched, a 3-rack gap, especially at this late stage of the contest, is very significant.
Yeah, Michael, you typically see this happen too, right? It's always the storyline. When somebody has an early lead, they've got it in their hands to capitalize and kind of really get ahead, like Majid did. Kind of doesn't get a rail, trying to basically play safe with the 7, 8, 9 left on the table when we both felt like the 7 might go. I think he overlooked something there, and it's really come back to haunt him.
7 racks to 4.
Wouldn't quite go so far as to say it's a must-win rack for Majid. And it's one he could really do with winning, because if he doesn't, he'll need to take 5 in a row.
Well,
again, he's missed the one, Scott.
Yeah, there we go again, Michael. He's come short with the one, so I don't know what he's done when he made the one. But this, once again, really not even close.
Alex Pagulayan, former world champion, made it through to single elimination last year. Indeed, he got to the last 32, and he's one away from making the final 64 again. 8-3 now against Dimitri Yungo.
And I touched on it just a little bit ago. I feel like Pagulayan playing good. I also feel like this event sets up for him, at least, to get real deep. Oh, and he's come right into the purple 5. And that's a result of catching the one way too thick.
And you could see from his reaction there, and indeed the shot which went before it, it's just feeling like the air is going out of Majid's tires a bit.
And the air filling up. And Mellings.
Well, what an achievement it'll be for Melling. You consider, when I saw him first this morning, probably about 9 a.m. in the hotel, he could barely move. That big foot injury, went to the hospital, put it up to Lucius Yap earlier today, went down in a close finish, and here he is now with a chance to make it through to the final 64. And you consider at the start of the day, when I saw him, I thought he might not even be able to play. He was struggling so badly.
And Melling, the type of player, when the rack looks even tougher, he seems to manage to get out easier. The easy outs are when he struggles.
There'll be big moments going on table 1. Johan Chua won the first half dozen racks against the former champion Albin Ocean. The Austrian has responded with determination, got back to 6-3. Chua has a chance here to reassert himself and get within 2 of the winning line. Ocean's record in the championship in recent years has been absolutely remarkable. 4 times in the final. No one's done that ever. He's won 2 of them. Also had a number of other long runs. In real danger of not being around for the business end of the championship at all this time.
And Chua gonna take game number 10. And Melling gonna dig 2 rails deep out of here. Once that cue ball settle, Michael.
It's a 7-3 Chua it is, and if you want to follow that, you can keep an eye on it on Matchroom Pool YouTube. Yeah, Chua had so many good wins in the course of 2023. Beat Jason Shaw, the European Open.
Called.
He had a 9-1 win over Joshua Filler at the Spanish Open, and closing in on another massive name scalp there. Back here, Chris Melling, still with a bit of work to do to get to the hill here.
Yeah, he's overrun the 7 by some mark. Oh, wow, he's caught that thin, caught the wide side of the pocket, but it dropped and finished real good on the black and yellow.
3 in a row for Chris Melling, and
the
all
rack.
of a sudden, he's on the brink here. He leads Imran Majid in this all-British clash by 8 racks to 4.
Come and get it. Come and get it. Come and get it. Come and get it. Another
Welcome back to Jeddah, the second largest city in Saudi Arabia, where the World Championship has come for the very first time. And we're watching an all-British clash between Chris Melling and Imran Majid. Melling on the hill at the moment, leading 8-4, just needs 1 more to get through to single elimination. Alex Pagulayan of Canada went all the way in this championship 20 years ago. And he is through to the final 64 again, a 9-3 winner over Dimitri Yungo. So full of character, no surprise at all to see him full of joy at that result as he goes
17,
through.
Chris Melling to break, leading by 8 racks to 4 on the hill.
Another former champion Federer Gorst has drawn level with Kyle Amoroto at 4 racks apiece.
And we kind of knew this match, no matter who was in front, would get over pretty quickly. But once again, Melling coming up empty-handed with another dry break, Michael.
Yeah, I think you don't need to say anything at all about how Melling has broken tonight. You just need to look at his face after that. It sums it up. And that stat goes a long way towards it as well, doesn't it? 7 dry breaks, and yet here he is with quite a big lead and only needing 1 more.
Yeah, it's kind of a very strange match, to be honest with you. It's hard to actually believe that he's up 8-4. It seems like just a moment ago he was in the driver's seat to be trailing 3-0. Well, he'd like to catch the 1 full here and just stick right behind the 9 and 4. Yeah. Melling did say if there's any weakness of Majid, without a doubt, his kicking. From what I've seen, he's struggled with that part of his game so far tonight. Melling, on the other hand, well, he loves kicking at pool balls.
Extension called.
Looking to come off the top rail. So he's got something in mind. Is he playing the cue ball behind the 9 and 4? A lot of good things can happen here if he makes contact. What an imagination, Chris Melling. Well, once again,
Foul shot.
short of the mark.
Ball in hand. Please start the clock.
And a little bit odd because it did look to me like he was aiming in the correct area. Obviously, I'm not at the table, but his thought process is the cloth is going to lengthen out. Well, it definitely didn't there. Problems for Majid. Pink 4 covered up by the green 6. Gonna go
Extension
into it
call.
now. Like to go into it heavily. Notice the 2 out in the center of the table. So he wants to make good contact with the pink here. And just a little haphazard. I believe the 4-6 goes.
Just a quick update on one of the other matches we're keeping a very close eye on here this evening. Johan Chua has got to the hill now, leads Alban Ocean 8-3, 2 in a row for the Philippines player. And unless Ocean can win the last 6 racks in a row, the 2-time champion will be making a very early departure from Jeddah.
And there is a gap between the pink 4 and green 6, so he's got to get the 3 down, carry an angle. Needs to be from the right side of the table, really. Wow, I believe he's missed this ball, and he has by some margin. He's apologizing, and he's down 8-4.
Well, I think that one merits a massive apology, because how has he not left the 3 on?
Well, I don't know that an apology is warranted. Melling's going to make a good hit. He could get lucky back. I might wait to apologize.
I think it's very much a British thing. I think it comes from the snooker background that a lot of the British players tend to do that.
Still doesn't mean I have to agree with it. And once again, Melling, well, he's handling business.
Imran Majid got to the single elimination stage of all 6 of the big field Matchroom events in 2023. Actually went further in 3 of them by getting to the last 32. The run ended at the UK Open a few weeks ago when he lost in losers qualification to Billy Thorpe. Needs a bit of a miracle now. Needs to make single elimination this time.
Yeah, well, Imran had a real good chance to keep Melling locked up here and run right into the 9, the object ball. Going at the 9 now, but using the 6 and 4 as cover. And basically playing the 2-way there.
No extension left.
Majid asking about the extension. Referee telling him, you have no extension left and you're down to 1 second.
Foul shot.
And this is disaster.
Ball in hand. Please start the clock.
Fouls of various descriptions really have played a big part in the narrative of this match. That one could be decisive.
Interesting. He's going to take the steep cut. Jumping 4. There is traffic to avoid. Oh, you notice the 7 and the 8 on the right hand of your screen. Well, he's just going to split the gap. Well done, Mr. Melling.
Been around a long time, Chris Melling. As I said, he played in a couple of Mosconi Cups, both times on the winning side, over a decade ago. He's never someone who anyone wants to see against their name in the draw for one of these big events. Regularly gets through plenty of rounds, gets some big scalps. Make no mistake, he firmly believes he can win a tournament like this. Narrowly beaten by Lucius Yap earlier today in winners qualification. He's come to the loser side, needing to win one match, and he's done it. Finishing off with a run of 4 racks in a row, Chris Melling wins the all-British clash with Imran Majid by 9 racks to 4, and he will be in the single elimination final 64 stage of the 2024 World Championship.